Well, welcome back to a more, shall we say, upbeat installment of 42nd Street Pete's, whatever we got here. But anyway, let's go back to Black History Month because one of you listeners suggested a couple actors, and I dug up a couple actors that really don't get, their due in, in the overall scheme of whatever blaxploitation or things like that. So I had to make some notes here. Let's see. John Daniels actually managed the R&B group The Love Machine. He was in a bunch of blaxploitation stuff. He was Mr. Jonathan, the super stud in Graydon Clark's Black Shampoo. He was in Matt Clymer's The Candy Tangerine Man as a pimp. He was a boxer in Tender Loving Care. He was a bounty hunter in Bare Knuckles and a bad cop in Mean Dog Blues. I think John only did about 8 or 9 films, mostly blaxploitation stuff, and then I think he's working today. He's still alive today. He's involved in something out in California. But anyway, Timothy Brown unfortunately passed away 3 years ago in 2020. And he was in the original MASH. But oddly, he was on the TV series MASH, taking the role that Fred Williamson had in the original MASH as Oliver Spearchucker. So he was also in Black Gun, the women in prison flick Sweet Sugar, a place called Today, and Girls Are for Loving, which basically co-starred well, I guess the star of them was actually Sherry Cafaro, Ginger, because one of them was Ginger, Girls Are for Loving. And most of those two films, most of the Ginger stuff and A Place Called Today were shot in New Jersey. I think A Place Called Today was shot in Newark, if I'm not mistaken. And he was also in another film called Black Heat. I think that was an independent international release. They were trying to start their own blaxploitation stuff, and a couple of them worked, most of them didn't. So, yeah, Timothy Brown, unfortunately, is no longer with us. And Rosaline Cash of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Her first role was in Clued in 1971, and it was a small part, but obviously it attracted enough attention to get her cast in a meteor part in The Omega Man in 1972 with Charlton Heston, screen legend. And in that film, she actually had an interracial love scene with Charlton Heston, and I believe her exact quote was, "It was spooky screwing Moses." She was also Bill Cosby's love interest, who came to a really bad end in Hickey and Boggs. She was in Uptown Saturday Night, Cornbread Earl and Me, Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde, and she was in another interracial love thing in The New Centurions when she was Stacy Keach's nurse after he got shot during a holdup as a cop, but unfortunately never came to fruition because Stacy died before the end of the film. Again, Tales from the Hood, a bunch of things. Circle of Pain was her last thing in 1996, but unfortunately she passed away from cancer at age 56, which was a really tragedy because she was really a great actress, and she was one of the actresses that refused to play racial stereotypes. She said, "I'm not going to do that. I'm better than that. I'm an actress." And the real chameleon of the bunch I'm going to talk about today is Frank Silvera, who was Jamaican. And actually, a lot of people didn't know that Frank was Jamaican. He has played Italians, Mexican bandits, Polynesian islanders, Middle Eastern Arabs, things like that. The man was a chameleon. I mean, he was Nick Sorello in St. Valentine's Day Massacre. He was one of the most memorable bandits in Hombre, the Paul Newman vehicle, where he was part of Richard Boone's gang, where at the end he lives long enough to ask, "I would like at least to know his name," as he lied there gutshot. His last film, which was released posthumously, was Valdez is Coming with Burt Lancaster. Unfortunately, Frank was repairing a garbage disposal unit at home when he was electrocuted in 1970. Very sad, because this guy was also teaching acting, and actor Morgan Friedman founded the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. So Frank was also a force in the civil rights movement in the 50s and 60s. And again, it's really a shame, you know, that he passed away at such, you know, a young age or an early age, because, you know, hitting into the 70s, there might have been more opportunities for him. And like I said, you know, poor Rosaline Cash at 56. So again, you know, we honor these people because it is Black History Month. And even if it wasn't Black History Month, I'd still honor them for their contributions to the grindhouse genre. So that's our show for today. So thanks all you new subscribers for tuning in. Thanks for listening, and above all, stay safe out there, because the whole world is getting fucking weirder by the day, and we'll catch you on the flip side.